Whew, what's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. A link will be in the description box below as usual. This video is entitled Talking at versus Talking to. I think when it comes to communication between men and women, even when it comes to communication for anybody who have differing opinions, you get to that point where people are talking at you versus people who are talking to you. And this is sparked because sometimes I get comments in the comment section of people who, I guess some of my commentaries, some of my videos touch the nerve, and sometimes maybe a hit dog or holler, and they don't necessarily address what I said in the video in totality, because I think for some odd reason people have a very short attention span. So a lot of times people will type out something that I might even have addressed in the video, but they didn't listen long enough to hear me address it. Or, how can I put this? Or they want to project what they think I am for their own purpose or edification to make themselves feel better. And to me, why project and tell somebody what you think they are, or how you think they think, or what you think they're about, or speak on something to them that they may know better than you, because you feel like initially, you're smarter than them, or you're beneath, or they feel like you're beneath them and stuff like that. So instead of just asking a question like, "Hey, could you clarify this? What is X, Y, Z? What do you mean by this, that?" You go from, "Well, I think you're this kind of person who had this kind of experience in this kind of life, and I'm pretty sure about everything I'm saying about you, like it's very much so true, even though I don't know you." And once you get in that space and in that energy, you begin to just talk to people, and versus talking, talk at people versus talking to people. And I did a video a long time ago said you got to stop talking at black men. And a lot of times, because you're willing to talk at somebody, you're not really willing to listen to them. And that's the problem why I said, talking at versus talking to. Because when you talk to someone, you're actually listening to their perspective and where they're coming from and why they're thinking the way that they're thinking, and you have to listen, so you don't just jump off the deep end early for no apparent reason. Sometimes people are triggered by trigger words or subliminal imagery that just draws them a little left, or their own insecurities eating away at them, and somebody touched on one or two of them and they got defensive, to say the least, right? But once you begin that talking to people, it never really ends well, because you're not really trying to solve anything. You're just trying to say that a person is beneath you. And the problem with talking at people is, just because you feel like you're smarter than somebody, in real life and in practical application, that may not be the case. Like, you might feel you're better than someone, but in real life, when it comes to practical application, that may not be the case. The ego involved in talking at people is massive, because you can say whatever you want and you can never be wrong, or you can excuse it away by saying it's circumstantial. It's not the totality of who I am as a person. But over time, people start seeing who you are as a person by the way you operate and carry yourself and do things. And a lot of these people don't want to admit that, while they're sitting out here talking at everybody, they never connected with people, so they don't know how to talk to anybody. And what I mean by that is when you're talking to somebody, you don't have to agree with everything they have to say, but you have to listen to, respect, and be able to digest what they have to say in order to respond to them with any kind of reasonable solution, or for you guys to come to terms. And that's not happening nowadays. Somebody's telling you exactly who you are, even if they've never met you, while at the same time getting to know strangers. It makes no sense whatsoever. You know, and then sometimes being a respecter of person, because you talk at somebody that you don't respect while you're talking to someone that you do respect. And the problem with that is sometimes the person that you're talking to doesn't deserve half of the respect of than the person that you're talking at, you know. But people don't look at it that way. And you know, that to me is a problem. Major problem. Because what happens when you're wrong? Because a lot of people who talk at people never count up the amount of times that they were wrong. If there's a success, it's because I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. If it's a failure, oh, it was this problem, it was that problem, it was this problem, it was that problem, it was this person, it was that person. And I'm going to tell you why they like this, because I'm going to tell you all about them and how they operate and how they get down, knowing you may not necessarily know the person like that. You know, opposed to talking to somebody, which I think is one of the reasons why men and women aren't getting along right now, is because we can't necessarily have a conversation with each other because one or both parties are talking at each other and nobody is talking to each other. So, you know, do you want to fix this stuff or do you just want to argue? And that's the difference between a person who doesn't want to fix anything and wants to just argue, likes to talk at people. Because talking at someone maybe will piss somebody off enough for them to get at you, and they'll be triggered and you're triggered, and now you get confrontation and conflict. But the irony of that is nowadays people don't necessarily want conflict or confrontation. They want to play with it until it comes knocking at their door, which I think is silly, but that's the way it is. But ultimately, we are talking at each other. Men and women can't get along because I know what she's thinking before she says it, and she knows what I'm thinking before I say it. And the only problem with that is this: to know so much and to be wrong so many times, you would think a little humility would be in the air. Like, you know what? I'm not right all the time. But no. When you're talking at people, you're so arrogant that you don't take into consideration that you can be wrong. And there's a lot of people who are wrong because they took the approach of they are superior to another person, so they have the ability to talk at them and put them in a box and peg them and say, I know what you are and who you are. Not necessarily by the action, but just by your feelings. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody is necessary. But if you spend more time talking at the people who are necessary than talking to the people who are necessary, you're going to find yourself in a situation where when you need that extra help from whatever network you're working with, you have no help because you ran it all off talking at the people that were willing to help you and against the people that were willing to how can I say this? You were talking shit. I'm tired. You're talking against the people who are actually putting their money where their mouth is. So you really don't want the solution because the people who you talk to are gonna come up with solutions because y'all gonna get on the same page. And the people who you talk at are just gonna argue all day long. Now I'm gonna get out of here because, as you can tell, I'm tired as a mug. Y'all have a good one.